I like learning new things, and today I think I'm going to learn some stuff. I have visited most of the bow shops in the DFW area. I know I can't get to all of them, there's a bunch, and there's quite a few that are kind of on the outskirts, kind of ways out from the main metroplex. But I've visited quite a few of them, and I'll be honest, none of them have gave me the whole I am never coming back here again vibe. But there is one shop that definitely gave me the I am bringing my stuff here if I need help, and that's where we're at today. I ended up having a warranty issue on my Mission MXR. One of my limbs started going bad. I pulled it out of the closet one day to shoot, and I noticed my arrows were kind of coming out funky, and I thought it was probably just me because I hadn't shot that bow in a while. So I pulled out my bear shaft 20 yards and shot it, and that thing was landing sideways in the target. So I started messing with everything that I knew how to do to try to fix that, and I couldn't correct it. So I started looking at it, and what I noticed is when I looked at the back of my bow, looking at that top limb, my limbs were sitting like this. And I noticed that cam was leaning way hard compared to what it should have been. That's when I decided I think I need to take this to someone who knows a little more than I do. So I ended up here at Fort Girard. So my new limbs came in. I've got a brand new set of strings from Mark Miller that I'm going to put on here. And let's go get this bow set up. And let's go meet the folks at Fort Girard.
We're here at Fort Girard. My name is Brittany. I'm the manager of Fort Girard. Randy and Dina are the owners and my parents. We have been here since 2015. We have 27 acres of indoor and outdoor shooting, 3 outdoor ranges, indoor 20-yard range, and then we also have a 40 bow sim virtual shooter. We also have several stations to work on your equipment. We build strings, make arrows, basically all of your archery needs in one place. We're going to start off by getting the right fingers. These are not made for the Matthews or the Missions.
And what is it about this press that you like the best? Because this is very different than the Last Chance, which is what most guys will buy when they buy a press.
Yeah, this is the ATC Spike Press. It's very versatile, so if you have a smaller bow, you have, as you can see, we wrote on here Raven and 10-point crossbows. You need to get really, really small. This press allows you to do just that.
That moves so easy.
It does.
That is awesome.
In some of their newer models, they actually have where you bring it to this side, so you're not having to do this number. You know, hold
that
your
makes
bow.
sense. So that the end that slides that direction.
Yes. So, like I was saying, for the Ravens and the 10 points, you know, these bows that get itty bitty bitty, we have a press that does it all. We don't want to be hitting any part of the cam either, so we're going to take this silver section. We're going to just open it up a little bit so we have more room right here.
This thing is so adjustable compared to what I have in my garage.
It is. So you're talking about that PSE. As you saw, all these fingers are for something different. Bowtechs, some of the newer ones have a pin system, so we have a marked Bowtech that these go into. Your bears, your highly adjustable bows that have the smaller width limbs is typically what we use these for, which is why we use them so much.
Probably one of your best-selling bows is
It is,
the
especially
bears.
getting the kiddos and people that don't want to spend a lot into archery. As you notice, these are already at an angle.
Oh yeah.
We have PSE and Hoyt marked on top here because we do have to use them for those past parallels. And if we're having to leave it in the press for a while, we can bring these close to the limb or back it off of the limb and lock it into place. So if something does happen and it slides, it's getting caught instead of falling all the way down and causing damage. So now I have just enough tension that we're not fighting the strings. We're going to go ahead and pop these off.
And we don't have to worry about saving these because they are getting replaced.
Shooter string, as you said, don't really have to keep a hold of it. If you want to, just have it as a backup, you can. We hold on to it, especially changing out strings, so we know our peak from D-loop height. Get you in and out a little bit quicker than guessing or having you come back, pull it back. We have our limb-driven rest here. We don't want it getting messed up, so we're going to loosen the slack off. In this case, we're actually going to take this clamp completely off because we're going to be changing out the limbs. I like to grab down here at the limb pocket because Though this bow is not going to come apart, there are some, such as the older Elites, that those limbs will just kind of fall down, and then I have to chase the rocker arm.
They just come out too, right? And
yes.
Just pop out.
So it's just good practice to hold it down here. If you notice the screw on the other side start slipping, you can just use 2 separate Allen wrenches. This screw didn't want to really come out. I don't know if you can see that well. It's actually unscrewing the one on the other side. Just going to go ahead and take that one out. The other good thing about the Missions and Matthews in general, they have the top hats.
That's part of the reason I bought this bow, is because it had the top hat system.
It's
different than the main Matthews.
It is for the newer ones. Most of them still do have the top hat system, which all that really is, get this out of the way, is your spacer system here. They call them a top hat because if you get them out of there, it looks like Abraham Lincoln's hat.
Yep.
So in order to get this side off, we're going to loosen up your main limb screw here. I just need to back this off to get to the limbs easily. One thing when backing this limb screw all the way out, make sure you don't lose your slug. That's what holds everything back together.
That'd be an important piece to have.
It's kind of hard to lose. That being said, you'd be surprised.
I'd be more likely to lose that screw than anything.
Alright, so now we can see
Limbs are off.
the whole limb pocket is off here.
Alright, we ran into an issue because these limbs are held in place with a roll pin, and we couldn't figure out how to get those out, because if you look at the pocket here, there's nowhere for it to go if you drive it out. Turns out the way they're actually set up is they're just long enough that when you put them in, they actually hold, but if you do drive them all the way in, let me turn that over, it actually fits inside here. So you still have to drive them out, and then it gets stuck in the pocket, and you have to wiggle it out to get the limb out. So we got that figured out.
These are the new limbs. Went ahead and just put those in there now that we got the whole pin issue resolved here. We'll go over that with the top set here. But they did send new roll pins. They're just going to go right in there. Make sure. Tap, 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 tap.
To be honest, that's one of the hardest things when I'm making videos is if I'm trying to show it and keep my hands out of the way of, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's just, and then I go back and watch the video, and it's like my hands are right in the camera. You can't see a thing I'm doing.
Not putting a lot of pressure.
And we're locked in place now.
Finally. This, I was just getting this started, so we don't have to hold on and keep up with a bunch of extra parts and pieces. Just doing it by hand to make sure it's going in good, but now we can still open that up.
But it's at least back in place.
Exactly. Both of these are basically lithium grease. One's just white, so if you like to see where you're applying stuff, that makes it a little bit easier versus the other one's clear.
This is a clear, but it's basically the same thing.
So I use the clear a lot just so I don't have colors popping out everywhere. But we were talking about putting this right here, and that's just that little rocker section to help make it not rub metal to metal, plastic to plastic, whatever your bow is made out of.
Alright, so we're just swapping the components out of the old limbs because the limbs didn't come with any of the washers or top hats, anything, so we're just swapping those over to the new limbs.
Now, if everything's lined up right, it should just go right on through there. Something that we might end up having to do, which we don't on this one. You can see it's flush right there. Sometimes I'll have clamps that'll hold the limbs together just to make it a little bit easier to get the spacers most of the time E-clip, not screws, everything back on, and not have to fight the pressure of the limbs.
So you're saying sometimes the limbs are pushing apart?
Yes,
and
because
so
of the...
you have to fight them to get like E-clips on other bows.
Yes.
Interesting.
So you'll notice in my drawer over here, I'll tighten that all the way down just a second. I
just keep a grip clamp
I try
just
to keep it
for
at
that
all
purpose,
the
huh?
presses. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's a great tip.
Side likes to back out, especially tightening down. You don't want to over tighten, but if
These are
one
just
side's-
good and snug, right?
Mm-hmm. And by doing it in both sides, since you're dealing with that axle pin, it just ensures that. Okay. We just took these off. We don't want to get them mixed up. If you have a box, put them in the box. Otherwise, put them where they're not going to get confused. I'm going to put it with the parts that we've already taken off and we're not going to use anymore. And as we learned with the first side, because of how those roll pins are, we are going to have to take it completely off in order to get to that easily and not have to fight everything. So we're going to go ahead and just take the limb section completely off. So that piece is what we were fighting before.
Right there, right there. And that just dropped into the limb pocket.
Yes.
And that's how we're pulling that out. Man, what a pain in the butt that first one was to figure out.
So now in order to get that axle pin out, just going to take no sharp edges, just a flat awl. And it'll just take a little tap to get it started. You can see that other side coming out. And we can just pull it straight out. So we don't end up losing these. I'm going to take this out of the way. Put my outside. Try to grab this. I'm lucky today, I don't normally have nails. Inside. Inside. Outside. So now, that one we already have.
Yeah, that pin's just it's tucked in there, and it just falls into the pocket.
You'll set that over with our other one so we don't get it confused. For anybody that's worried that they just got bigger. So now you can kind of see.
So yeah, it falls right into that gap. Interesting. See, now you're gonna know how easy this is next time you do it.
As long as it's not another, 5 years in between. So I'm gonna hand that one to you. See, it's a snug fit in there. Try to hold it there.
I do like that big couptail thing, looking thing, because for me,
Tap, tap.
I'm slowing on the arrow down to about 167.
And just until that's flush.
We had our mission side up. We'll put these back in.
I made a set of ways. It looked great, shoot great, and I'm not gonna say, I just basically look good, and it's
Kind of good. These are snug as well. Again, new limbs. Everything fits a little tighter. We can do the same thing that we did before. Just get a little bit of this grease on here. Make sure everything lines up. And we're able to put that screw back in. And hold it in place as we're screwing. So now I'm just tightening this back down.
All right, we got the new limbs on. Cams are back on.
Get
Now we gotta start
Screws.
putting it back together.
Yes. I'm just making sure before we press that we're not rubbing on anything. Looks good, looks good.
Alright, these are the new strings that Mark built me. As always, they look amazing.
Our cable glide had the further out notch going towards the riser, so I'm going to leave that like that.
Okay.
I'm
Now
gonna
this is what's
take-
goofy about these ones. They've got this big loop that goes around the wheel.
Yes. And pretty much all of your Matthews do. Missions not so much, but the Matthews do.
Well, these cams on this bow, these cams are almost identical to what they had on the TRX target bows. They're about the same
Yes.
size.
And
kinda unique.
same kind of cable design. So I'm going to put it through here. And then the end piece just goes right through. And make sure everything stays in the groove of that wheel. It's easier said than done sometimes. So I'm going to pull just a little bit, try to help everything get into that groove. And I'm going to take my other end and connect to that C we were talking about, which I'm going to have to press it because it's way back here, so I've got a few inches before
Got a
we're
long
there.
ways to go.
Try not to keep your hands in here. If something does happen, you don't want to be in a danger spot.
Now, those limbs are skinny and little and they don't look like much, but man, if that all came apart.
We've had, 40-pound bows, 20-pound bows that, regardless, still kind of gets you and doesn't feel good. So I'm also going to take and just open up that loop a little more, make it a little easier for us to put it on. So I've rotated it this way so we can see up here. Push it onto that cable attachment. Now, again, coming under here. I see how those strings are wanting to
Yeah, they're
do
coming
its
apart. I
own
don't,
thing, and that's just because there's not tension on them on a big loop. We'll do that same connection that we went to on that side. To make it easier on me, we'll press just a little bit more. Pressing the bow is always going to be a little bit nerve-wracking, but as long as you're not pressing it more than, say, whenever you draw back, there shouldn't be anything to worry about, along with making sure that you have the right fingers and everything's not in a slippy position. I do also have this little flat plastic tool to help get in there and push the end loops onto their position pegs.
it happens to be stuck right behind the fingers.
It seems like you always are going to have that for some reason. Normally your down cable, so the cable that's getting pulled down when you draw back, is going to be the closest one to the riser. Knowing that, with how I have it here, if I put this one or upward in the longest one and our downward in our shorter one, it looks to me like that's causing the twist to be on top. Your twist is 99% of the time going to be on bottom. When I say twist, I mean your cross, where
Like
the
where they
cables.
cross.
But we'll get our shooter string on there first, take the tension off, and see if that's the case. So you see how our strings are pretty pinched in that loop, so it's kind of hard to maneuver that on there. That's why I like to come in. I use the string splitter. You can use a pair of pliers, but just open it where it's not going to be so difficult to maneuver. You're not sliding it down, you're not putting a ridiculous amount of tension on it, just enough
You're just forcing that loop open.
to open up to make that easier. Now we're going to come down here and do the same thing. It may not look like it, but I promise I'm holding the ends of these every time to try to keep our twist as much as we can. That way we don't have a lot of tuning we have to do.
Yeah, the first time I tried doing a limb or a string change by myself on my Elite, that's I come out here and I let go of the string and I watched it just untwirl.
Yep.
Which then made everything a pain in the butt for me later.
So what I'm already seeing is,
we're
yeah,
probably
that
gonna-
right there.
We're gonna have to take those off, aren't we?
I'm just keeping my fingers near it so whenever it loosens up like that, I don't drop it. It's also why I like to keep this drawer open, rather look for it in the drawer than on the
More
ground.
stuff falls in here than hitting the floor and roll it away.
Exactly. And because of that is why we have the yellow rag laid down. So hopefully we're able to see it a little bit easier. Before I have all the tension off, I'm seeing that this was trying to come out of that groove, just little strands. That's why I'm just
So you're just working those, make sure they're in that groove. Yeah, I can see how that would be challenging on these to keep all those loose strands.
yes. Okay, so now I like to just let that settle before trying to do any timing and tuning. The strings have had pressure off of them for the time that it took to get to you and then the time for you to get here.
Yep.
So let that pressure even out before we go tying cam timing. This one doesn't have yoke timing, but if it did. And it looks like what I'm seeing here is we may have lost a twist in this particular cable trying to put it on, because I've got that little loose strand there and it looks like a green one here. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put a twist in that one. I'm going to take it completely off so we can see what we're dealing with. So you can see up here how it got loose. I'm just going to go ahead and twist the whole thing a couple times there. And that's smoothing back out one more time. And we'll know once we go to do the timing if it's got way out or not. Just do that same, make sure everything's in the groove. Sometimes you'll see this little bitty spot right here. That's where you end your serving. You'll burn it to ensure that everything stays together. It's not going to slip out. Or loose strands will sometimes get caught on that.
Oh, it'll get caught on that little burn nub. Right there.
Don't just pull and force it, as you can accidentally cut your strings if you kind of do a saw motion. Alright, so now I don't have any pressure in the press. You'll see I can move it freely, but we're going to give it just a second to let everything settle in. And there's that cross we were talking about. The strings
Cross
are
is below the.
which is where it needs to be. So we were just talking about, since these limbs are damaged, you can see some of the limb missing here and down here. I would still take and keep the components. I have seen where people take their limb driven rest and put it under this flat bracket here, and then that flat bracket bends from the constant use. You don't want to do that because this piece is holding this piece on. If we come over here to the press, that's the piece that we're pressing. So if this side gets bent and comes loose while you're in the press, that means that piece just came loose. The whole bow, pressure-wise, is either going to go up or down and potentially hurt somebody. So never attach.
Don't stick your limb-driven cable under that bracket.
You can put it just like you have here with a clamp to the limb, not a problem. Or there is a bracket made by, I believe it's Hamsky, I've got it around the corner. That is this flat bracket but has a loop on it to attach your cable to, so you don't have to worry about anything bending.
Okay, but just putting it underneath there.
It can bend it.
And strapping, like tightening that down, it could bend it and potentially loosen this piece.
Alright, now that we've let the string settle in a bit, we're going to go ahead and put these back on. If you forget to put them back on, it can overdraw the bow and it gets stuck at full draw essentially. Your shooter string will be loose and limp, but your cables will still have a ridiculous amount of tension on them.
So what do you do in that situation?
If you can, put it in a bag or something, so if it does decide to go, essentially shoot itself, even though it doesn't have tension on a shooter string, it's in a confined area, and try to get it to a shop quickly if you don't have your own press. I know several people who have accidentally done that out in the field, and they've just thrown their bow to get it away from them.
Yeah, I've seen that too, where they just like throw it into a bush and it comes apart.
Yeah, but
So can you put it in a press when it's in that situation?
you can, and that's about the only way to get it to decompress, is to get it in a press.
Without blowing it up.
Exactly. That's the only way to get it to where your limbs are going to be okay, your cams are going to be okay, and you're not hurt.
Yeah, I'm scared of that. Yeah, don't forget to put limb stops back on. Cable stops, whatever you happen to have on your bow.
That's what we're matching our levels. And there it goes. Now that it's set, I'm going to do a couple ties. You don't want to make it too big, or you won't be able to make your D-loop as small as you'd like it to be. So fluff it out. We call it a nice little star or flower, because you're going to melt, not burn, but melt. If you burn it, it becomes fragile. And then I like to flatten it to give the base a little extra area, and then come back and make it nice and round. Give that a second to cool. I know that looks really small. It stretches. So now you'll see my burn is on the left side versus on the top. It's on the right side. Any kind of cutting we do with these cutters, if you use a pocket knife, you do run the risk, especially if you freshly sharpened it, to accidentally nick your string, especially if you're trying to fix serving. So we just try to eliminate that with these right here.
Using cutters versus a blade.
And we also use these torches that we can go in sideways and get as close as we need to get, versus just a regular cigarette lighter that the flame kind of goes everywhere. Again, we're just going to be melting, not burning. Even though I'm using this torch, I'm still not pointing it towards anything that might accidentally burn and get damaged. And let that cool for a second before pulling on it. And making sure that that top is cinching down where I need it to, before coming in with our final D-loop tool. And lengthening it out even more. This does have room to be even longer if you want it to. Just try not to over tighten. You can break the internal strands. If you tighten it too much, you'll hear kind of a pop but not know what it is. That's the internal.
That's the braid inside.
Yes, that's that braid. So I just took our handy dandy adapters here, stuck them in our limb bolt, and
Top
then
and bottom.
put a rubber band on, putting it. I'm noticing that I'm hitting on the side itself.
Also, the rubber band's not straight.
Correct. So I'm just going to take, and I'm not going to remove our sight completely. I'm just going to move it out of the way. But now our sight, it's moved out of the way.
Just so that this thing can be free.
Exactly. So it's not pushing it left or right, making sure that's good, that's good. A back scratcher that we pulled the scratcher part off of. And put a knock on. Put it in there. Extend it out. Loosen that out.
And you're just going to line it up on this
I know
rubber
the
band here.
pinches.
It's a great way to get it started, isn't it?
Absolutely. If you're getting a really crazy tear, you've messed with shims, you've messed with, if it has yokes, you've done all that and it's still crazy out, that means that when you put your new limbs on, the deflections didn't go where they needed to go. There are heavier and lighter deflections. As we saw when we took this one apart, it didn't have deflection markings on it. But your heavier deflection, your stronger limb, is always going to go on the shelf side, both top and bottom. What I'm seeing, our clamp seems to have plenty of room
Down here.
so we won't have to move anything there. Now we're looking for, I don't know if this helps,
Yep, I can see it.
for that one and the bottom one to hit the cable at the same time.
Looks like a touch in there.
And we're just barely off on the top one.
Yeah, we're out of here up here.
We said our bottom hit first, so we're going to add into the bottom. And it was very, very minimal. So we're only going to add a half, not a full. Something else that's also good to do if you're going through and setting up essentially from scratch is check all your screws. Sometimes they come loose in shooting. So it never hurts to stack. So there it's touching. I can take it off of there.
Just, it's so close.
Okay, that, I mean, I can't add a quarter of a turn, sadly. So once,
These are probably going to stretch a little bit as I put 100 arrows through it.
and then we can come back and double check that. The gentleman that made these strings had his tie equally between the black and green, equal parts on each side. It is personal preference. I like to have all of one color on one side and the other on the other side, and it just mentally for me helps ensure that there's equal parts of each color on each side of your peep. If we have the old strings and they said, yep, that's right height, we can line them up and adjust according to their old strings.
That makes it easy to put it right back where it was.
All right.
All right, everybody has their favorite way to tie in peeps. Let's see how you like to do it.
As long as it's tied in, I'm not going to complain. And I do mean tied in, not the sliding knots or anything like that. We have a customer that comes in. I love to use him as an example. For the longest time, he didn't tie in his peeps. He's now
Like
missing
at all?
at all. 'Cause-
Like he left it just like this.
yes, because that's what he saw the famous competitors doing. Well,
At least that's what he thought they were doing. I got a hard time believing there's anybody not
he
tying them in.
he did that all the way up until it came out and took out half of his front tooth.
Ooh.
Now he swears by tying them in. Less string on there, less weight on your string. If you have too much extra stuff on your string, it can slow down your string. I'm going to hold on it when I pull this time to hopefully keep it in place. There we go. These bloodline strings do require a certain serving material when building them because of how slick they are. I do not remember which material that is off the top of my head. I can look it up for you though. After every few, I'm taking and snugging it down, and now do an anchor tie.
Just a half hitch on there.
So if I need to walk away or whatever, it's held in place and it's not going to slide while I'm working. Go a few spirals up one side. So that's about 7 spirals on that side. I'm going to do another one of those anchor ties. I like to go on this side in the top, keep my finger on bottom, and pull it down until it's in the groove of the peep.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm going to wrap it. I say 3 times, but really it's like 2.5 because there's 1, 2, and then just over the top, the third one. Snug it, and now we're going to do another anchor, but I'm going to go from the bottom and pull up because we have these strands that are going to prevent it from sliding all the way past. Right into that groove. Now I'm going to do, since I did 7 here, I'm going to do 7 on this side. the whole thing, twist, and pull through. I know this is gonna probably need to be twisted. It looks like it's laying flat now, but after I finish this tie up here, because of the twist of the string, it might not stay like that. Get it started, hold it, and pull. And now we're going to do a back tie and see how it's already kind of going
Starting
that
to
way.
roll.
So for a back tie, we just make a loop, and we're going to bring the strand through a few times.
You do that so much more effortlessly than when I do it.
Just do a few a day.
Yeah, you only do a dozen of these a day, don't you?
Now we're going to take our tail end, put it down towards the peak, lay it flat, and we're going to unravel this end, which is going to ravel it back on this end, because we're on opposite sides of the string. Cable driven, drop away, so on and so forth. Now take and cut, leaving just a little bit. And here's where that torch comes into play again. And there you go.
All right, we checked axle to axle. It's within 1/8 of where it's supposed to be, so it looks like everything's set up right.
So now our deceleration rod, that's a little much of a gap, which can cause vibration in some bows. So we're going to get about just a credit card width away to help quiet the bow down and eliminate as much vibration as we can. So now we're seeing if we can get a bullet hole.
First shot, right? For bullet hole, first shot would be amazing.
That would be nice.
Oh, that might be pulling a little more than 60.
With new strings, it potentially is.
That's
Alright.
not terrible.
Yep, so we're seeing that our fletchings are going into the left and our point is going into the right. It's just barely. And we'll be able to fix that by moving our rest to the right just a smidge.
Well, we're out of time today. Brittany, you did a great job on this. The fact that we swapped limbs, did all that work, and then the first shot through paper was that much of a
fairly
tear. So unfortunately, I don't have enough time. We can finish it all up today. I'm gonna have to take it home and work on it. But this has been fun. I think we've learned a lot. I think we're gonna have a lot of good little notes here to share with our viewers. So, anything else you'd like to tell everybody?
Just get out and go shoot your bow. Try not to wait until the last minute. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that wait right before season to get pre-strung, or if they have damaged limbs. And we can do as much as we can do, but a lot of times we're at the discretion of shipping. So I can't guarantee if you come in 2 weeks before that we're going to get you out for your hunt. So try to give yourself enough time.
So what you're saying is, if you got an issue, come in now. Don't wait until the week of.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one.